I made the 1,000-mile trip from my driveway in Dallas to the home place in Kentucky. Came off the Cumberland Parkway, made that hard left there at London, the spot where my children call leaving civilization. Because when you make that hard left turn, your cell phone goes completely black. My mother and my dear Aunt Ruth had already crossed over Jordan. Nobody left at the home place but my Aunt Louise. She's still alive. My doctor said meanness is a preservative. And that meant that Aunt Louise might last forever. She was what Kentucky people call a caution to the wildcats. And it was Christmas. I needed to go and be at the home place with Aunt Louise because I needed to give the caregivers some days off. If they didn't get some time off at Christmas, they might just up and quit. And what would I do then? So, even though there were a lot of places I would rather, even though I would rather be any place other than with Aunt Louise for Christmas, that's where I was headed. And by now, she was getting really frail and she was bedridden. Not too feeble to be absolutely miserable to other people. Still as mean as a striped snake. But bedridden. And that meant that when I arrived, I wouldn't be able to leave again for 3 or 4 days because I wouldn't be able to leave her by herself. I knew that the main caregiver, Betty, would be standing on the front porch watching for my car. And that as soon as she saw me pull into the driveway, she would run to her car and leave, and I wouldn't see her for 3 or 4 days. So I figured if I wanted to do any visiting, I should do it before I went on to the home place. I stopped at Uncle Mike and Aunt Margie's. And I told Uncle Mike and Aunt Margie that I was going to fix Christmas dinner for me and Aunt Louise, and that if Uncle Mike wanted me to, I'd make Christmas dinner for him and Aunt Margie too. He said he never had cared much for turkey. Aunt Margie said, "Shut up." And I'm thinking that the store was still open, and I said, "If you could have anything you wanted for Christmas, Uncle Mike, what would you have?" And he said, "Well, young, if I could have anything I wanted, I'd have fried squirrel and squirrel gravy and biscuits." And Aunt Margie said, "Shut up." And I got my car and went on up to the home place. Because they don't sell that at the store, even in Louisville. I was wrong about Betty. She wasn't standing on the porch waiting for me. She was standing beside her car. She could gravel all over me getting out of the driveway. And I went in the house. And I'd been in there about long enough to be thinking about killing Aunt Louise. 15 minutes. Maybe 20. There was a knock at the door, and when I went to answer it, I was as surprised to see Alfred Harold standing there as he was surprised to see me. When I was a little girl, Alfred Harold was always my brother Tom's closest friend. And whatever the two of them were up to, I was always on the receiving end of it. So to tell you the God's honest truth, I never had much use for Alfred Harold. But there he was. He said, "I want to talk to your brother." I said, "Tom's not here." He said, "No, I want to talk to your brother." I said, "Tom's not here." He said, "Oh, come on. I need to talk to Tom." I said, "Tom's not here." Big as he is, I think I would have noticed. He said, "Pickup truck, Texas plates. I want to talk to Tom." I said, "My pickup truck, my Texas plates, Tom's not here." that I should think about the season. I said, thinking I would take a message to my brother when I got back to Texas. I said, and if Tom had been here, what would you have said to him? And he said, well, if your brother had been here, I would have asked for the loan of $20. The Mid-South plant burned to the ground. I said, I saw this. I came by. That must be awful hard on me. So many people up here in our end of the county make that 55-mile drive back and forth every day, tickled in their hearts to have a job working at the Mid-South plant. And when I came by, after I saw it burn to the ground, there wasn't one brick standing on another. That meant hard times for people. He said, you just don't know hard times. I said, so Tom had been here, you'd asked for $20. He said, yeah, you remember my daughter Becky? I said, sure, I remember Becky real good. He said, she'd been living in Cincinnati. She came home when we weren't expecting her. She's a good mama. She had presents for the baby, but she couldn't bring them. And if I had $20, I could go to the dollar store and buy Christmas for the baby. You could buy a good Christmas at the dollar store for $20. I was raised there. I know the baby doesn't mean an infant. That's just the youngest child in the family. That child could be old enough to know it's Christmas. So I went to the kitchen and I got a 20 out of my wallet and I came back and I said, Alfred, wouldn't you rather earn this 20 than be beholden to give it back to me? He said, sure, what do you want me to do? I said, I want you to go right up there to the head of the holler and I want you to kill me 2 big fat red squirrels. He said, you give me $20 for 2 fat red squirrels? I said, sure. He said, you've been living in the city a lot. I said, I would give you $5 more if you'd skin them out for me. He said, I'd like to help you, but I can't. Why not? He said, well, that land up there, that belongs to your aunt. Nobody can go up there and hunt. Nobody's been up there to hunt in years. Well, Mike Moore went up there about 5 years ago. He spent 7 days in jail over it. I can't go up there. It's too close to Christmas. I can't go to jail. I said, Alfred, you know the truth is, half of that land always belonged to my mama. And while my mama was living, she wouldn't say silly good goose. So whatever Aunt Louise said, it was always that way. Mama's dead now. He said, yeah, I saw you at the funeral. I said, I saw you too, Alfred. Thanks for coming. Now that Mama's dead, half that land belongs to me. I figure Aunt Louise's part runs right along the ridge there, and there's probably nothing up there but skunks and polecats. But I'm just sure that on my part, they're good fat red squirrels. He said, well, if I won't go to jail over it, I'll get you some squirrels. And he started down the sidewalk. And then I had an idea, and I called out to him, Alfred. He turned back. I said, while you're up there, it's Christmas. Why don't you take a turkey? Well, all right, he said. A turkey. And he walked a little way, and then he turned, and he looked back at me. He said, you remember my brother Roscoe? I said, sure, I remember Roscoe real good. He said, Roscoe worked at the Mid-South plant, too. Could Roscoe have a turkey? I said, you tell your brother Roscoe that Elizabeth said he could come here and take a deer. Roscoe gets a deer. And I get a turkey. I said, who do you think always came back and untied me? He had to do the rest of the life too. I gave Aunt Louise a good bath. I put the new flannel pajamas on her I bought her for Christmas. I fixed her something nice to eat. I was sitting there talking to her while she's eating, and I noticed how hard it was for her. I thought, out before she gets full. When you're 97, eating's a struggle. And I made a note to myself to remind Betty to try to help Aunt Louise by giving her bites in between her attempt to get them in her mouth. And I started doing that myself. Want some banana pudding? It's good. When there was a knock on the door, and when I went to answer it, I wasn't at all surprised to see Dr. Harold there that time. He had shot me 3 good red squirrels. He'd even cut them up for me and put them soaked in salt water. And it had been so long since I'd cooked a squirrel, I didn't have any idea if I would have remembered that part at all. Taste gamey taste out. I said, Alfred, I've been thinking about this ever since you were here. I heard what you said with my woman's ears. He said, what does that mean? I said, you told me Becky came home and you weren't expecting her. She had presents for the baby and she couldn't bring them. When does Becky go back? He stuck his chin out at me. He said, I ain't letting her go back. I said, how bad did he hurt her? He said, bad enough. I'm going to kill him, but I have to wait till my check comes. So I've been thinking about this ever since you were gone. How many people do you think there were that worked at the Mid-South plant that lived up here in our end of the county? He said, count me and Roscoe, probably a dozen. I said, I want you to call every one of those men for me and tell them that Elizabeth Ellis said to come here and take a deer off her land. He said, well, I could go hunting for each one of them and kill them a deer. I said, I don't want it done that way. And he stepped back and he looked at me for a minute and he said, a man should put food on his own table. I said, that'd be good. Now, I don't want people going on my land to hunt that I don't even know. So you're going to have to go with every single one of them when they go to hunt. All right, he said, I can do that. I said, you were Roscoe. Have you got a place to butcher, Alfred? He said, well, yeah, across the road at Mama's house. I said, would your mama be willing to let all these people come and butcher there? He said, well, Lord, yes, she'd be glad to have the company. I said, good, a lot of them are going to live in trailers. They won't have a place to butcher. What I want you to do for me is tell every single one of them that as soon as they finish the butchering, they have to give half the meat away and keep the other half. He said, well, who would they give it to? I said, I don't care, as long as it's somebody that needs the meat. All the people I talk about in Aunt Margie that can't hunt for themselves anymore. Some woman that's got a house full of children and no man to help her put food on the table. Doesn't really matter to me. Maybe people that work at Mid-South that live somewhere else that I don't even know, that don't live in our end of the county. As long as they need the meat, it doesn't matter. He said, let me see if I got this straight. I got to call every man who worked at the Mid-South place with me. Tell them to come and take a deer, go hunting with them, and help them with the butchering. And tell them they got to live half the meat away. Give it to somebody that needs it. I said, that's right. He said, you mean like they can give it to somebody that used to go off and leave them tied up to the trunk of a tree? I said, right, Alfred. Merry Christmas.